Hello everyone. Today is March 6. Welcome to SIG Node CI Weekly. We'll walk over the agenda first. Serial job failures. I think this was added by Kevin. Kevin, do you want to speak about it?
Yeah, might just be easiest if I give me some screen share.
Sure. Can you try now?
Yep. I forgot the issue I created with it. Let me get that one up real quick. So generally, what I'm noticing is I think I finally figure out why our cryo serial jobs and sometimes some of the other serial jobs are failing in a really terrible state. So I have the issue posted here. Unfortunately, the timeouts are not the fix as I thought it was. They're actually it's kind of some interesting stuff going on. But so what I'm looking at is this node kubelet serial cryo, and we have pre-submits for C group V1 and C group V2. They're all failing for pretty much the same reason. If you click on these, you can see that start at they take as much time as you give them. I mean, one of the things I was looking at, and I don't know if this is actually the issue, but we're not getting much logs, and we're getting in the serial logs at the bottom. I'm seeing that we're actually we're getting an out of an OOM for DD. I do not know how to trace it more than that, to be honest with you. I think I did try bumping the memory up from 6 GB to 12. Still getting the problem. I don't know how to view the dashboard to actually see what the memory of this job actually is. I think I tried to ask that on SIG testing, but they were busy. So I don't know if anyone has any suggestions what to go on from here. The good news is you can reproduce it with the pre-submits. I don't know why this one says green, but I was able to see it, and these are not. These actually take longer. It seems like they're stuck. And the other thing that's interesting about this is we're running this job. Like, I don't know if there's retries of these jobs, because I'm seeing, if I search for this, I actually see that it fails once and then we run it again. I thought that was interesting to me. I didn't know that's what we did with these tests, so I don't know if that was by design. But I guess we're running these twice, so that could be why the timeout doesn't really work. But I don't know. That's at least where I am with that. If anyone has any suggestions on ways forward, I'd love to hear it.
Um,
Can you pass some links into agenda document so we can follow on?
Yeah, I can do that. I did see this for a couple weeks, or maybe last week. I did see this also for Ubuntu, the swap serial job, but it seems to have resolved itself over time. Like, so I don't know on the cryo side what the problem could be. What's interesting is, I guess it makes sense, but our swap jobs are not having that issue.
Are they in the same cluster? I mean, this community cluster. Because I think
Yeah,
machine type is defined by that.
they're a little bigger, I think. They're the N1 standard 2, I think, is what we do for the serial jobs. And then I think the default, we might use 1. they're not very beefy machines by any means. But yeah, that's at least where I'm at on that one. I think that's why the other thing I was sort of trying to go with was trying to take, like looking at the logs, like these jobs are actually running. So I was trying to see like what could actually be DDing, or sorry, what could actually being out of memory. So that's sort of another avenue I was taking, and that's and one of the approaches was trying to uh,
But Kevin, is this intermittent? Because I checked in the test grid and there are some successful runs.
there hasn't been for this one for a really long time.
Okay, you see there in 25th February, I see something.
So we're running the issue. There's one thing is, even if it's green, uh, it should be posting the results of the job. Like it should look like something like this, where we actually see which jobs are successful or not. So either way, like if it is green, it's not posting that. So to me, I think something is still failing.
Okay, thanks.
And like you can look at like this case is one where like it says it ran for 5 hours, the job passed, and then I usually would go to the build log and then see. Oh, in this case, it says, hey, all the jobs did pass, and then not sure why it didn't post a test grid. So I guess this one did actually successfully succeed. Anyway, that's at least where I'm at on the OOM ones, or on the cryo serial jobs. Did not make at least something to do with the OOM. If anyone, I'll maybe try to ping SIG testing and see if there's like any kind of Grafana dashboard for this job, so I can actually see like what's the memory. Like if I know what memory it's actually taking before it's OOM, that might be helpful to see.
Yeah.
If you want to try to run on bigger machine, then we can try it. We just send a PR and we can try understand if bigger machine helps. And if it helps, it maybe, yeah, I don't know how long we can run on bigger machine, but at least we will have some idea.
But I have a question. I mean, I see in other tests we have in the artifacts there is a node folder, but I don't see it on those tests. Would it be beneficial to improve the test and add this in the artifacts to?
I mean, I think what's happening is these tests are in a really bad state because of the OOM. So I like when they're failing. I don't think it's like correct. I don't think it's like a graceful fail. Like what I'm seeing here is, no, I guess this is saying this is the only fail here, and then yeah, it's a weird one. I don't. I'm not even sure who is familiar with the ETE node code anymore to actually be able to kind of understand like why, like, this test fails, and then for some reason there's like posting, I guess, the cleanup or the final step of this test just doesn't succeed, and then that's why they don't post anything, and then the artifacts are not posted, which makes this kind of difficult to even dig into. I think this one, again, it does look like there was some kind of OOM of DD, which is something we use in some of our more intense tests. So I don't know. That's at least an update on that one. I'll see if I can find some time to look into that, or at least try to see if someone can point me to some dashboards to kind of see the progress of this job. All right. Well, thank you, everyone.
Okay, thanks, Kevin. The next one on the agenda
I think it's by me.
Yeah.
So this person is essentially asking that usually when you have pod transition to terminated or being terminating state, they don't go back to running state, and that we even have a SIG node test around that in our conformance test suite. So I wanted to get a feeling here. What do you want to do with this bug here? Because they seem to be running job here, and we generally frequently hear this scenario. I think Kevin, we mentioned last time that in the context of jobs, when things get terminated, they kind of get stuck there. But from the signal point of view, we can't change the behavior of the pod once it enters terminating or terminated state. That's it. That's the end of it, right? So, but yeah, I understand where this bug report is coming from. So, kind of confused. Well, how do you proceed with this? I wanted to get a what do people feel here about this bug? The last comment, if you see last message comment, that's the one here, the most important part. Yeah.
Just
Yeah, I point him towards Ryan's comment, another bug where he says that readiness probes keep running on the terminating parts because we need to make sure the part status is actually is referred correctly.
mhm.
So this person says it's correct. They are aware of it, but the main problem they are trying to understand is my take on this is if the pod is terminated or being terminating, then it should not go to running at all. And we have, as I said, there is a test around it also to make sure that this never happens. So this should be the end of the bug, and we should probably close this thing. This is the way it is. But at the same time, people who are running jobs, like say people who are training models, running training jobs or something, and from their point of view, once the job isn't terminating or it doesn't restart or doesn't get into the, so I think maybe we should have a wider discussion. But right now, this is the status where you see conflicting expectations from a pod that it was supposed to run always, like essentially if it goes bad or gets into terminating, then we expect typical traditional pod to just keep running or runs to completion. Whereas in here, their expectation is if it runs to terminating, it doesn't go back to healthy again, which is against the state machine that we have here for pods. So our design right now kind of conflicts with what jobs people expect from jobs in Kubernetes. So yeah.
So this comment also says, right, that this would help propagate the pod status to downstream components. What is this here?
Yeah, so the reason, as Ryan mentioned in his other comment, that we keep probing those pods, even if they're terminating, because that will help propagate a pod status to
I see.
other component. But the last comment, right, it's actually a right behavior from the how you look at the pods from
Mm-hmm.
a regular point of view. So we can't change that behavior. But we if we simply discard this behavior, the problem is the people who use jobs uh, will be forever stuck state, rather, for lack of a better word.
I mean, I don't know if this is quite related. I mean, I think that most people in the job controller would also agree that if a pod is terminating, it should not be turned back into running. I think that kind of that would break a lot of stuff. I know there were reviews about even the concept of toggling, like letting jobs that finish go back to running or whatever. Or like if a job is finished, that's it. Like that's the state machine. In this case, I don't fully understand how this is related to a job. To be honest, I mean, it sounds like if the like, I guess I have to look more in this issue, but I don't know. I have to look
They are
into
using
it.
deployment. Yeah, they're using deployment. But I kind of remember you were talking about jobs. So I started making connection there that people who want to run the pods for once only.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very interested in this. I'll bring it up to higher up SIG node, but generally around like the pending pod state for jobs, I find it's kind of troublesome, especially in queuing or batch situations where people are submitting lots of jobs and there's nothing really that other than an active deadline that can kill them if they're like set in a certain state for a long period of time. But typically we would want to transition those to failed and then either let the controller restart them or what. And so I don't know if that's quite related here. I have to read more about it.
Yeah, we
Okay,
actually
so
yeah.
go ahead, Jorge.
Yeah, we actually move into opposite direction. We want to get more and more functionality running during pre-stop. We see more and more people who wants to do extremely graceful termination of pods or extremely graceful like long termination, and we want to keep retrieving secrets. We want to keep running probes. We want to keep running like sidecars. It's all raising in priority. So in this specific case, running readiness probes on jobs, I don't see much problem with that. Like, why would like it's not moving state into running, it's just moving like ready state into success as successful, right?
Yeah. Do you think we can point towards that test and close this bug then? If it's expected behavior, I can find a test case which actually does this matching of state machine, which makes sure that the pods don't go back and say this is what we enforce and is by design. And
Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Yes.
okay, I'll go there. I'll do that.
I have a question here. So why do they want the pod in terminating? Sorry, the problem is pod to be terminated cannot be reverted back to healthy. So why do they want such a pod to be reverted back to healthy again?
That they did not give explanation on that, but I know from some of the discussion that Kevin has brought up earlier, where something on the job side, where there were some discussion around that topic, where the pods were the wait, let me recall that one of the discussion where there was a discussion about how a job, when you start it and when the container ends up in a terminating state, there is no way of properly rescheduling it or restarting it or something on those lines.
Yeah.
That's the reason I was
I think you and I have talked a little bit about this. Yeah. So generally there's an issue around image pullback off and having kind of an upper limit. Because right now, if a pod is pending, it will just stay in pending forever. And a lot of the cases in batch users, like they might be building images and then, it's kind of like they're short-lived jobs and sometimes the image may not be valid or there might be a life cycle issue. And then there was one request from the Q community about having a way to kind of put an upper limit on the image pull back off and then fail the pod eventually. And then so that is more about kind of trying to transition a state of pending to failed, because currently there's really no way to do that, and like people do it through external controllers, and it is something that's at least kind of that area is what I think I've thought about. I don't know about like once it's set to failed. I don't think toggling it out of that is what we want. Like I don't think we want to reuse those pods. I think that's a big design change. I think we would want to turn like those failed pods will create a separate one. But generally, I think the concept of pending, transitioning pending to failed at a certain point was kind of more what I've noticed is a big problem for people using Kubernetes.
okay. I got confused with that problem with this one, I guess. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. So yeah, maybe you want to close this after adding the details here, then, right?
Yeah,
That the
I will mention that it's not it's a expected behavior. Sergey already pointed towards the documentation. I will point toward the test case.
sounds good. Thank you. Um, the next one, I think this is by Anish. Yeah, Anish, do you want to talk about it?
Yeah, this is a follow-up from issue that Kevin brought up in the last meeting. to recap, this user has a workload which sets ephemeral storage limits, and when their workload exceeded their this limit, Kubelet evicted it and killed the pod. Um, I think it was unable to kill the pod ungracefully, and after that, they noticed that sometimes the status changes to error state, or sometimes it changes to container status unknown. So I was able to they yeah so they after our comment last week, they shared uh, a repro script, and I was able to reproduce that in my cluster. Um, when I went through like kubelet logs, I saw that um, after the pod is killed and before we update the status, pod status, there was a race condition that was removing the container. So by the time when kubelet tries to update the pod status by checking container runtime, it is unable to find any status and find any container, and that's why the uh, status changes to container status unknown. Um, I was able to um, kind of mitigate this issue by uh, checking that pod is finished. So this is the code where I think where we handle plague, evented plague stuff. When we check like container has died, we remove the pod. I I tried to add a check to ensure that pod is finished before removing the container, and it um, mitigated the issue quite a bit. But yeah, I don't know if this is the correct fix. I'm not familiar with the code base. And yeah, I think Sari added a few comments in the bug later as well.
I just
Anish, are you using evented plague?
Yeah,
So even with the fix, you mentioned that there were still containers with the container status unknown, right?
yeah,
Just
I
you
just
were
saw
few
one
number.
container status unknown. I ran the test again, second and third time. I didn't see any container status unknown at that after I ran multiple times. Yeah, but it's quite less. So if you check the repro script, uh, the we see quite a bit. It's actually down. If you see, it's,
Yeah, there were more. I remember
yeah.
this one.
No, sorry. The previous comment, they have a link.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, I remember seeing a lot more container status unknown.
Yeah.
Yeah, so um, is anyone familiar with this code, or you might want to?
I think I'm sorry, I interrupted. I think I probably would suggest bringing this up to more general SIG node, just because I think these are pretty subtle issues in general. Like, I don't know.
Anish, I was looking at your code change. This is not related to evented plague.
So if you see uh, this, yeah, that code, uh, this handles some events from plague channel. I don't know if
Yeah, so regular plague will also use the same thing, generic plague.
Sorry, what are you trying to say, Harshal? That this is the same with or without plague?
Yeah,
No,
it's a sync loop plague, right? It's nothing to do with evented plague per se. It is just general. So this plague channel that you see, that's where pod lifecycle events get sent by the plague that you're using, be it generic plague or evented plague, and then kubelet consumes is here. So it's nothing to do with plague here.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Okay, yeah, thanks for pointing that out. So yeah, maybe then this might not be the fix. Maybe we can dig a little more here.
maybe
Any
this is pointing to the right direction, but I want to highlight that this is not related to
okay,
generic or evented plague right now.
I see.
so I
Yeah,
think we need to follow Kevin's suggestion. So let's assign priority. I think a priority should be important soon. It feels like a big bug, right?
Um,
Could also get a PR up for it so that we could run it through CI.
sorry, say that again.
If the poster could submit a PR for it, we can run it through CI. To me, the patch looks good, and
okay.
we should test it thoroughly just to see if it fails anywhere.
Okay.
Yeah, sounds good. I can start a PR and see, maybe add some previous. Yeah.
Yeah, and maybe we can have more discussion there as well, like if there is anything else needed. And Sergey, is this label correct?
Yes.
Priority importance. Cool. Thank you. Um, the next one is we want to triage the bugs since we're close to 1.30, and Anish will take over from here. Anish, I will stop sharing my screen.
Yeah, I created different queries to filter out different bugs in our dashboard. First one is um, only bugs with critical urgent priority. I think this bug is from Clayton, where the static pods are not restarted when kubeAPI server is down. Um, and I think it's quite old bug. There was a PR, but
It's marked as critical urgent, but it's active since 2021.
yeah. And yeah, there's
Was it just reopened recently, or what happened?
no, it's always open. I think there were a few attempts to fix it, but yeah, I think yeah, Dim's also asked if this is still critical urgent. Maybe we can um, change the priority label here to
It falls into backlog at this stage because it was active since 124. I wonder if it's still a bug though.
Yes, Brian, do you know if this was the rationale between a lot of the pod lifecycle work?
Yeah. Is this Clayton's ticket?
Yeah, from like 2 years back. Maybe.
Yeah. Is there any updates on this one? I think this is still a problem, and he wrote this ticket to track that issue still.
okay.
Yeah, I think reducing the priority is probably
Yeah.
worth it.
Is that okay if we change it to backlog? important.
It will be also nice to double check that it's still an issue, because it may be just forgotten.
Okay. I think next dashboard is important soon priority. Sergey, do you want to go by like the untriaged bug first, or like just the untriaged?
Either way, we just need to understand if it's important soon, it means that we need to fix it in this release. So we need to double check that those are actually important soon, and if it's not, we can move them.
Post delete pod execute pre-stop hook. Do not try to run pre-stop hook when the grace period is 0. When we execute a force delete pod, it will not execute a pre-stop hook. Okay. Does anyone have more context on this bug? Like regarding priority?
I still can't understand what the issue is.
So I think when the user runs deletes a pod with dash dash force flag, it, they expect to not run the pre-stop hook. Uh, because I think in this case they want the workload to be deleted ungracefully. And I think
It
yeah,
was introduced in 128, so regression is still since 128.
right, yeah.
I mean, it has a someone is working on it. It looks like, or at least they posted on it.
Yeah, the question is, do we have to take it for this release, or we can postpone it?
I don't think it's the regression, like not from.
I mean, they pointed out on PR from 128. There's a regression in 128.
Are you saying that it is a regression, or if it's in 1.28, it's not
So
really?
it regressed in 128, so it is a regression comparing to 127.
So I think there's a duplicate bug. Sorry.
Yeah, I think this person is working on it, right?
Yeah, let's keep it as important soon then. Somebody
Yeah.
use it.
Yeah, they also changed the documentation to specify that pre-stop hook is not run when forced delete pod. So I think it is important.
Okay. And it's assigned to this person, right? How we,
Yeah.
Yes.
okay, let's go to the next one.
Okay. Um, should I go for this column next? With information.
Go for user, yes, please.
Stateful set pod going to unknown state after reboot of Kubernetes local node. Um, so this is storage class stateful set PVPC. So after reboot,
So it's marked as needs information. Can you scroll down to what information we asked?
I see. So I think you asked whether the kubelet has started on all three nodes.
Yeah.
They replied with that kubelet is up and running.
Okay, so we're still seeking for information.
Yeah, maybe we can downgrade the priority of this one.
Yeah, make it as a backlog. And it still needs information.
Yeah, I think this one we already discussed.
Can we move this to triaged then? Because we are not waiting for any information from the author of the issue, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's remove needs information then. I think if you do triage accepted, it will remove needs information.
I'll do it. You can move on to the next bug, Anish.
Okay. Yeah. So in triaged one, kubelet started multi-containers for static pods when evented plague is enabled.
Yeah, this has a PR by Paco and it's under review by Clayton.
Okay. Yeah, I think we can move on to the next kubelet.
Well, I mean, are we sure? Like, it sounds like the request was to try to get this to 1.30. We're at the code for we've passed the code freeze. So, are we? I guess going to push this to 1.31 then, or do
Yeah,
we
I
want?
guess.
Yeah, technically, we can fix bugs during code freeze because we are not adding features. We fixing issues, but they need to be serious enough.
I'm not fully aware of where this evented plague work is at right now. I know it was downgraded to alpha, and I don't know if
So
this PR is
this
doing.
PR by so right now it's downgraded to alpha and it's disabled in alpha jobs because it ends up breaking those alpha jobs. So this PR by Paco fixes that. So if this PR merges, then Paco will send another PR to test infra where the alpha jobs will start including the evented plague as well. But this requires some review and approval, especially from Clayton, because he's the most experienced person in this area. So I have reached out to him on SIG Node as well on behalf of Paco, and but probably just busy. So we'll just wait for him.
Okay.
All right, sounds good.
Sorry. Yeah. So you had a question?
Sorry, no, it sounds good.
Okay. The next bug in the list is kubelet breaks with C groups v1 and newer Linux dropping KMM limit in byte. When C group v1 is enabled and Linux is updated, example to 6.1.54, which contains commit, the kubelet fails to start with the following message.
Is it one where we need RunC, like new version of RunC?
Yeah. Is this?
Okay, we had a bump. Yeah, I think it should be taken for this release. I really hope we will take it.
I see this PR is merged. Does that mean it's finished? It's fixed.
We may need to bump C advisor and then render a new version of C advisor as well. I'm not sure about that. Is David Porter mentioned on this bug? Because he was typically doing C advisor thing.
No, I don't see.
Yeah, he's not here.
Should I tag him?
Thank you.
Should we go over this or should we go over the no priority label now? Since
We need to do
we
both. I think we need to maybe how many high priorities there? Is it 3?
five.
Oh,
Okay.
five. Okay, let's go through them first. Because we may not have time for assigning priorities, but at least we'll review what we already assigned priorities for.
Minimum grace periods in seconds from eviction config can increase the grace period.
Yeah, I think it's a bug that we have a PR for, but it was there for a long time. Yeah, there is a PR for that. But the comment on this PR is that it breaks backward compatibility, so it will need to have some. So let's remove important soon from this one. I think it comes into backlog. It's a very old issue, and now we're talking about backward compatibility with this behavior rather than this is a bug.
Okay. Should we add important long term or backlogs?
Backlog is fine.
Pods not consistently being cleaned up. Oh, this is also old. We have Kubernetes 1.22.3 environment using containerd where pods are not being consistently cleaned up. The basic idea is that we have a process that spawns several pods every couple of minutes, and these pods are frequently deleted. They do not show up doing a kubectl get pods. However, running critical pods shows that these pods sometimes stick around in a not ready state. So I'm not sure if yeah.
This was all 2 years ago.
Yeah, somebody
Yeah.
commented at the end that they see it on 127 as well. Yeah, I don't think we need to mark it as important soon. Maybe important long term or backlog, because we didn't attend it for a while.
Can I
Let's not do both. Just do one. They like you only have supposed to have one. Yeah.
Kubelet is creating a 0-byte file for each pod restart and is causing nodes to run out of inodes on file system.
Again, very old issue.
Oh, I see Paco's pull request too. Is there any update?
So why is this PR got stuck?
I think there's another PR.
How about we just go ahead? It seems like we could probably go ahead and close this one. Sorry, this PR, if it's being subsided by someone else.
Yeah, please comment why you're closing it. Just say there is a mentions PR from Paco.
Sorry, can you repeat?
Yeah, close is the right thing, but then comment why you closing, so it, people who reading it will know.
Oh, I think Paco removed some stale. Oh,
But it doesn't answer the question whether it's critical enough to keep it around. So I don't feel it's critical because it was around for so long time. Maybe mark it as a backlog again. Oh, this is the wrong one, right? I meant the issue.
yeah.
Oh yeah, okay. Thank you. Sorry.
Kubernetes uses JSON and similarly structured data sources throughout the code base. This
Those bugs are
supports.
typically from security reviews. I wonder if there is anything from SIG Node perspective.
I see it requires some kubelet patch, but this is an old issue.
It's all in Docker shim folder. All the files for kubelet in Docker ship folder.
Anish, can you just go to the bottom? Let's just see like what's the latest state of this one.
Branch accepted. Branch accepted.
Yeah, I would suggest remove SIG Node because all the kubelet mentions were for Docker shim. If you search for kubelet, yeah, you see all the mentions of kubelet is in Docker shim.
Is this correct way to remove the label? I'm not sure.
Remove dash SIG space node. Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, this is the last one in important zone. kubectl get pods command shows status app armor for pod on Kubernetes 1.22. Localhost. Oh, Kubernetes app armor example in high. Uh, cannot enforce a armor profile is not loaded. Mhm.
Yeah, I think Timo Clear is GA in the up armor feature. Let's maybe yeah. Okay, Kevin, thank you. Can we assign to Timo Clear instead of CC? Thank you. Since we GA in this feature, it may be nice to double check the behavior.
Yeah, I think that's all in this
Yeah, we have
dashboard.
the time right now. So what we didn't do is we didn't look at bugs without priority to determine which ones can be moved here. So let's try to do as much offline, but maybe next time we also will review some of them. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you,
Thank
everybody.
you, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.